Well, hello and welcome. Okay, let's get rid of that first. You already know the display over now. Okay, finally I'm here. Hello and welcome. This is Kuber. And you are on Ask Kuber channel on YouTube. So welcome to this channel. And today I'm here with this great, exciting announcement. Obviously, it's no longer a breaking news, and everybody who was waiting for this already knows about this. And Yes, it was very exciting. But as usual, IRCC has released some instructions, has released some information, some of it which has been a bit confusing. A lot of people are a bit, not really sure how to uh, prod along with that. And therefore, this video will probably help you in some manner try to understand or make most out of what the announcements have been. But first of all, the credit where it is due, IRCC has done an excellent job with this particular policy. Absolutely. If Sean Fraser had basically said in the last press conference that they were trying to sort out the technical issues, that he actually meant it, because now we can now the proof is there, right? And we all know what he meant it. I mean, what he meant by saying that it was taking time, because the kind of process or rather the kind of public policy that they have announced this time, it basically makes life easy for a lot of you out there. So before you listen to me and get bored, let's hop on to what we are referring to. Yes, and I mean, this is just basically being me sharing the information from the IRCC's website. Most of you have already read through this. Uh, in most cases, people whose work permit, so basically just to go through it again, uh, postgraduate work permits, which are expiring between the 20th of September 2021 and will continue to expire until the 31st of December 2022. This public policy applies to those individuals who have a postgraduate work permit. This policy does not apply to any other work permit at this point of time. I know there would be a lot of questions with regards to that, and we will deal with those in the question and answer once we have finished our briefing with what the information of public policy is all about. So hold on to your question and answers. We will come to that. So to go back to this information, this obviously is starting from the 20th of September. And I think one of the reasons is because the last draw with Canadian Experience class was on the 13th of September. So the week after that is from when they have started this policy. So it starts from 20th of September, goes right until 31st of December. If your work permit expires on 1st January 2023 or anytime later, then you are not included in this public policy. So that's the first thing that we should all be aware about. And then from moving on from there on, as we sort of, I mean, I'm sure most of you already read this link. If you haven't, then it is already in the description box. I mean, if you were probably not one of the people who were celebrating about this, then yeah, you wouldn't have noticed this link. It is in the description box. So it basically, what it has done is it has distributed most people in 5 different categories. And the first one is, I think, which makes it the most simplest for them, is that if your postgraduate work permit expires from the 2nd October to the 31st of December, well, then you don't need to do anything. I mean, this is the simplest of everything. If your work permit is going to expire from the 2nd of October to 31st of December, just take it easy, just relax. You would get your work permit in the mail. Okay, I hope you have the correct mailing address with IRCC, so that would apply to you. Now, the next one basically is that your postgraduate work permit expires from 2nd October till 31st of December, but you need to update your address or passport validity. So again, this is also pretty simple and straightforward. If you are to follow the link that has been already mentioned over there, and if you just slightly there, and you have obviously linked your application, then you will also be able to go to the round 2 and you will be able to get your work permit sent to you. Obviously, what you need to do is you will need to update IRCC with your details of your new address or your new passport details. Don't worry about it. You will start receiving emails. I'm sure most of you are already receiving emails. You're already been getting your emails with this about this process. Most of you would have already received it. If you haven't received it, please don't freak out. You will be receiving it as the time progresses. I'm sure you can understand there are thousands and thousands of people who have been waiting for this. As you move forward, the third category. So the first one and the second one is pretty clear. The first one is you have a valid passport, your address is all absolutely fine, you will receive an email. Don't do anything about it. Just wait for it. You will get your work permit in mail. Second category, if your passport details are not correct, or rather you need to change your passport, or you need to update your passport to IRCC because it is expiring within the next 18 months, then you definitely need to extend your passports and update IRCC with that details. And also, if you have changed address, then you will need to update IRCC. So you will be in category 2. The instructions are extremely simple, absolutely straightforward. Don't have to freak out. You just follow them. Just read. Don't be in a rush. Don't be in panic. Don't be in. There is no deadline for you. Okay, the deadline is there. Of course, that's 31st of December, but don't have to freak out about it. When you get the email, respond to them. Okay. And once you respond to them, you will realize that this is going to be a very simple, straightforward process. Yes, if you're in category 2 and you have to update IRCC, then you basically will have a 2-week window to do so. Okay, and this is where it says that you will have a 2-week window to do so. If you update this information within this 2 weeks that you received your email, and you would receive this email by September, then you would receive an updated work permit in your mail by mid-November. So again, don't have to worry about it. If IRCC is already aware that your passport validity is short, then you will be able to update IRCC. Also, as I said, if you are receiving an email and if you have to update IRCC about your mailing address, please do so. Again, simple, straightforward, nothing technical that you have to worry about. Now coming to category 3, post-graduation work permit expires from 2nd October to December 31st, but you cannot update your address or passport validity. Now, it shouldn't be large people. I mean, this category may not apply to a large number of you. It basically will apply to a very small number of people here. For example, if you belong to a country where getting an updated passport sooner would be a problem, or you might take time to do that, or at this point of time, you're not sure about the address, you might be moving very soon, or there could be some other issues with your address, then in that case, you will need to apply online. That's basically it. The link to apply online is here. Just click on it, follow the instructions. Again, simple, straightforward, no complications there. You can do it. Then the fourth category is that your post-graduation work permit expires from 2nd October to December 31st. Okay, but IRCC did not contact you. Again, I expect this to be a very small group of people who might be affected with this. But if this happens to you, you do not get contacted, IRCC has not sent you any emails, for whatever reason that might be, you may still be eligible to apply online. Again, click on that link, apply online, follow the instructions. Very simple, straightforward questions is what IRCC will ask you. And using that answering those questions, you would be able to submit your application. Now, I know a lot of you want to submit your applications very quickly because this has come through. You want to be in front of the queue so you can get your work permits processed faster. Don't do that. Don't do that at this point of time. And the reason why I'm saying don't do that is because, just like with all public policies, consider this to be a live animal. Consider this to be absolutely dynamic. As we progress, as the time progresses, you might see there will be some changes that might be introduced to this. Some updates may be made. Some more clarifications might be there. So if you're one of those people who is doubtful about something, for example, you may have applied for a postgraduate work permit extension before the policy was launched. I'm sure a lot of you out there, you may have changed your status. You may be out of status. You might need to restore your status, but you're confused about certain things. Does it apply to you? Does it apply to you? It does not apply to you. If you are in any of those categories, just hold on. Don't be in a rush. You have all the time in the world until 31st of December. So just wait a bit. As I said, there can always be some more changes that might come to the same policy. They might update some instructions. They might provide clarifications for some of the information. So if that happens, you will be in a better position to be able to apply. Plus, obviously, so many other people are applying. There will be a huge knowledge base that would come out of it. People will be able to give you that information. People will be able to share that information with you. And of course, IRCC would announce the program delivery instructions as well. Now, once program delivery instructions are published, those are the instructions given out to the visa officers who would then be processing these applications. And then using those program delivery instructions, you would be able to ascertain, you would be able to understand exactly how an application will be processed or how you should basically be submitting your application so that you don't make any mistakes. yes, there is always a chance that you make big mistakes and then you lose out this opportunity. So obviously, don't wait till the last day of 31st December. Make sure you submit your application in time, in any which ways if it applies to you. And yeah, absolutely don't wait till the last day. But don't submit it immediately as well. Just give it some time so that you have better, or rather, you have the advantage of more information as and when that is released. And fifth category is for everybody else. So your post-graduation work permit has expired, or it will expire before 1st of October. So starting from 20th of September until 1st of October, if your work permit has expired or will be expiring, then you need to apply online. Okay, and I'm sure there are thousands of people out there who will be applying for this application. Obviously, the portal has opened up. It's not a different portal. This is your same GCKey portal. You need to make sure that your previous postgraduate work permit that you had applied, if it was a paper application, then you have already linked it to your GCKey account, because that would be the way IRCC would be able to communicate with you, and that is of course quite important. Also, if at all you're not sure about the addresses, email addresses, if you're not sure about your mailing addresses, well, that is the mailing address that you provided to IRCC when you applied for your postgraduate work permit application. As far as email addresses are concerned, again, that is the email address on your GCKey account or in your postgraduate work permit form that you filled out. That is the email address that IRCC will be using in most cases. Sometimes it may also be that the email address used or rather attached to your UCI, unique client identification number, if there's a different email address attached to it, then you can also expect to receive emails on that. Obviously, check the spam folders. Make sure that if any email is received from cic.gc.ca as the domain name, then you whitelist it so that you can receive it. There is also a new email address that they have now talked about, and let me just scroll down quickly if I can find it here. Then make sure you also receive that. That is from, I think it's on this one. Yes. These are the two email addresses, or rather the domain names from where the emails will be coming. Please check your email and make sure that you are checking your junk folder, your spam folder as well, to see any messages from email addresses that ends in cic.gc.ca or a new domain address there, notifications.canada.ca. So please make sure that you are also checking this while you are checking your junk folders, and you probably can whitelist these email addresses. Now, this basically is the main announcement that came through and that applies to most people, but obviously there are a couple of salient points here. Under normal public policies that IRCC has usually announced, it was always a requirement that you are inside Canada, okay? TR to PR was one of them. The last public policy for postgraduate work permits was also one of them, where you were required to be inside Canada. And therefore, that category of people would lose out those who have had to leave Canada. Okay, even now, the work permits have expired since September. Not everybody can afford to be in Canada. I mean, how long can you stay in Canada if you cannot work, right? September, October, November, December, Jan, Feb, March, April, May, June, July. I mean, that's ridiculous. Almost for 10 months now. And so people have left Canada and gone. But this time, thankfully, an amazing, incredible job done by IRCC is that they have included those people who have left Canada, who have gone away and basically were quite upset that they had to leave Canada and they were not being included in this, or they may have not been included. But this time, Canada has included those people as well. IRCC has included those people. So even if you are outside Canada, even if you had left Canada, even if you don't have a TRV, if you have TRV, great, just return back to Canada, and then you will be able to apply inside Canada process. But even if you're outside Canada, you don't have a TRV, you don't have a visa to come to Canada, even you would be eligible, even you would be able to apply for the work permit. This is what is incredible this time. And just another information that I should also be obviously sharing with you is that so many of you would be out of status, right? So if you're out of status, again, usual period of time to restore your status is 90 days. But this time, again, with this public policy, IRCC has not put any blanket on the period of time that you would be able to restore your status. So right from 20th of September onwards, if you lost your status, you would be able to restore your status and submit your work permit application, which is incredible, which is awesome here. The only difference obviously being that you will have to pay a $200 fee for restoration, of course, the work permit fee. Not only that, from what I understand, they have also, let me see if I can find that here. Uh, in most cases, you no longer, or rather, you will not need to pay a fee for your open work permit. Now, let me just see if I can find that here. I would have to share that information at a later date, because honestly, I'm not using the regular computer that I normally use, and therefore cannot really pick out that particular information. But I'm sure as you will be applying for your application, you would be able to see that once you submit an application, once you're trying to submit an application, in that they say that you would be exempted from paying the open work permit fee. The open work permit fee is for $100, okay, and that is an additional benefit being given here. Obviously, the category 1 and category 2 who would be sent the automatic work permit in their mail, they are not going to be paying anything, right? It's for them, it's free, the great advantage. But for everybody else who would be applying online, you would not have to pay $100 open work permit fee. Mind you, you will still have to pay the work permit application fee, which is for $155. Don't make that mistake of not paying anything at all and then realizing your work permit is refused. Okay, so don't do that. Make sure when you are submitting your application, there will be a point where it will ask you, will you be submitting your fee? You will have to answer, I am exempted from submitting the fee. And then when you are submitting your application, you will have to pay manual fee using the pay your fee link on IRCC's website. Pay the manual fee of $155. Print the receipt which you get with a barcode. You can do a PDF print and then provide that with your application. If you are restoring your status, then at this point of time, you should also be paying your $200 fee for restoration of status, and add that fee receipt with your application as well. These are two very important points to note, because if you don't do this, then again, your application may be refused. So please, the best thing to do would be to follow the instructions that IRCC is giving you to the T. Absolutely, just follow those instructions. They are very, very clear. They're very simple. They're very straightforward. There is absolutely no confusion in the way you can go about submitting your application. So if you do that, then you will not have a problem at all, and you would be successfully be able to submit your application. This is by and large the summary of what has happened. But another great thing that I also obviously would like to bring out here, what IRCC has done, is that under normal circumstances, if you've lost your status, then what happens is that you are unable to work until the new work permit is approved. But not this time. What IRCC has further done is that they have now allowed you to work by giving you an interim work authorization. So this is where it says ability to work in the interim. Starting 8th of August, individuals with post-graduation work permit that have expired or will expire anywhere until 31st of December will receive an email indicating that they are allowed to work in interim. Recipients can attach this email to their post-graduation work permit and show the employer that they're authorized to work in Canada temporarily. And this is a one-time provision, but this will be in effect until 31st of May 2023. Again, as I said, this is another incredible provision being made, exemption here, obviously, because IRCC has never done that before. So even if you are out of status, under normal circumstances, you would have to wait till your restoration application is approved, till your new work permit application is approved. Only then can you start working. But this time, incredible job done by IRCC. And therefore, I mean, for all the time that we've had to wait and we've had to suffer and we have been so anxious and so stressed, this thing itself, I mean, IRCC has balanced out all the delays that they have made in this process. So everybody should be receiving these emails by 8th of August or starting from 8th of August. Again, don't freak out if you don't receive it on 8th of August. Keep checking your junk folder, keep checking your spam folders. This would allow you to continue working until 31st of May. That is to allow for any delays that might happen in getting your work permits. I'm sure in most cases you would receive your work permits, but for whatever reason, if there are any delays, this exemption or this email that will be sent to you with your work authorization email, that would allow you to continue working. I would also suggest that you take a printout of this particular web page from IRCC's public policy. So when you're showing it to your employer, you will be able to show that email, this particular page, as well as your work permit. You can attach it all together, give it to your employer. You will be able to work without any issues. and that is absolutely incredible. Now, there is further, I mean, if I basically go further, there is also an inclusion for the TR to PR applicants, people who did apply for their TR to PR applications, who have applied for their work permits as well. Some of their work permits will be expiring 31st of December. Under the same public policy, they have also now added that they would be able to they would also automatically get extensions of their work permit with an ending date of 2024. So if you're a TR to PR applicant, please do not freak out. Please do not start feeling that you basically have lost out an opportunity from this postgraduate work permit process. If you're eligible to apply for your TR to PR application for a TR to PR bridge open work permit, please do so. You would get a longer duration of work permit validity there as well. Now, very quickly, I want to go through a couple of other things. As I said, the link is in the description box. You can all read it. There is no complexity over here. If you are applying from inside Canada, then this is the kind of page that you will come onto, and it basically says post-graduation work permit holders. You will get, in most cases, you will be given a new work permit automatically, and you would receive that work permit in mail. The round one begins on the 2nd of August, which is already happening right now. From now on, most of you would have already started receiving emails in your mail, and obviously you will know what to do. In some cases, you will start receiving your work permits also shortly. And if your passport is valid for the next 18 months, you're good. If your address is good, you will get your work permit there as well. Now, obviously, as you can see in this link, there are so many other options. If you click onto each of these options, you would be able to see what has to be done. For example, if your mailing address has changed, then you will not get your work permit in round one. Okay, you will need to inform IRCC. You must email us at the email addresses provided in the letter. So they will send you the email. Once you get that email, reply back to that on the address in that letter and let them know that your email address has changed so that they can send the work permit to your new mailing address. Or sorry, your address, not email address. So your address has changed so that they can send your work permit to the new address. If your name has changed, again, you will need to apply for a new work permit. You can simply not get a work permit automatically. If you don't get an email by 8th of August and you are in Canada and still want to work, you still want a work permit, you can still get one by round two. Again, not an issue. If your postgraduate work permit expires before your new one arrives, then all that means is that you have, and by not replying, they're saying you don't have to reply. Okay, so by not replying, you have confirmed that you want a work permit. This means that you have maintained your status. You can keep working, show your email and the web page to your employer. Again, you would get an email to show that you have a work permit authorization, interim work authorization. No issues there at all. If you no longer live in Canada, if you have left Canada, you must email the address. You must email them on the email address provided that you are no longer in Canada and that you would be returning back. And you can still apply. There is no problem with that. You can apply online. That is not an issue. Obviously, if you don't want a work permit, then just let them know that you don't want a work permit. End of the story, nothing else to be done. Now, the round two begins on the 14th of September, as is indicated. And the people who have not received their emails, have not received your work permits by the first round, you will then start receiving your emails by the second round. Again, please do not worry. Please do not freak out. This is not going to be an issue. Everybody would be covered. IRCC already has the data. They would be sending it out to everybody. Obviously, watch your junk mail and spam folder so that you don't miss out on anything. If you are outside Canada, and this is the section which you will be getting if you are outside Canada, again, you cannot apply at the port of entry. So please do not flagpole, okay? Just do not appear or just do not come to Canada because you have a TRV and try to apply at the port of entry. You cannot get it at the port of entry. You will have to apply online for this open work permit. Again, as long as your work permit is expiring or has expired between the 20th of September to 31st of December, you would be eligible to apply for your postgraduate work permit. However, make sure that your passport is valid for longer duration than 18 months. Otherwise, you would get a very short duration of your work permit, which would be valid as per your passport. Now, as we were talking about the fee, here, this is what I was talking about. You are exempt from paying the open work permit holder fee. Don't pay this fee. Okay, this is what I was referring to. If you're outside Canada, you would be asked to pay an open work permit holder fee. You do not need to pay this fees. You will only need to pay the biometric processing fee, which is work permit processing fee. And if at all there is a biometric fee applicable to you, you'll need to pay that fee. Okay, because make sure that you pay your fee online before you submit your application, because if you do not pay the fee, then your application would not be processed, and again that would create an issue. Your application will be cancelled, and then again you lose out on this opportunity. So please make sure you pay your fee, keep the fee receipt, add the fee receipt as part of your application, and then submit your application to IRCC. And this is how you're going to do this. Okay, a lot of information there, a lot of information to absolutely absorb. And trust me, I've been doing a lot of reading trying to figure out what means what. But when I actually went through it, every single step in detail, it's quite simple, it's quite straightforward. They have actually considered most of the issues. Now, for people who are inside Canada, if you're applying online, make sure you're using work permit form number 5710. If you are outside Canada, you will not be using 5710. You would be using instead form number 1295. Okay. So if you're outside Canada, you're using form number 1295. Again, you don't have to memorize this. You don't have to take notes for this. If you follow IRCC's guideline, the step-by-step directions, then you will come to this application guide, which will show you that you have to use IMM 1295. And of course, if you're inside Canada and if you're submitting your online application, then you will be using form number 5710, which is change of status or your open work permit application form. So that will be the form that you will be using. And that's pretty much it. This is incredible. I mean, I'm quite happy to see what IRCC has done with this process, because otherwise it could have gotten very problematic, I would say. And already for a lot of you out there who were losing their jobs, who had lost their status, this was already creating a big issue. Right. So that is basically what I wanted to talk to you in this very brief and a short live stream. And yeah, if you're here, then obviously smash on that like button, so that helps smash it so that it gets out to more and more people. Obviously, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, then please definitely do that, because that probably will help you. I will take a few questions, and I will take only those questions with relation to the work permit publicity, postgraduate work permit extension policy that has been announced. For any other questions, please join our live stream that we will have, or other which we do basically have every single Saturday, in some cases Sundays, but we will be doing another live stream on Saturday. So please join us then at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'll be happy to answer your questions then as well. But for this particular stream, we will only be taking questions which are in relation to the postgraduate work permit extensions. Okay. My visa is expiring on the 17th of September. I have already extended my postgraduate work permit under public policy in 2021. Am I eligible to extend now, since I saw my case type in work permit? It seems to be different. Okay, great question. And I know a lot of people have been asking this. At this point of time, IRCC has not provided this clarity. Now, typically and technically, if you read this public policy that has been announced, it is very specific. It is referring to postgraduate work permit holders. Last year, when between 27th of January to 27th of July, when the public policy came and people were given this allowance or this provision to extend their work permits, that was extended as open work permits. Okay, so it is all about the terminology. And therefore, going by specific understanding of the verbiage, then I would say that people who have already received their extensions, may is the keyword, they may not be eligible, they may not be included in this public policy. However, that clarity has to come from IRCC, which I'm sure will flow over the next few days. At this point of time, in my opinion, in my understanding of how it has flown out, at this point of time, people who have already extended their postgraduate work permits under the last public policy may not be eligible to apply for this particular public policy. So that is what would happen in this case. Okay, I have applied for work permit extension, but did not receive the work permit extension letter. I guess I applied for bridge open work permit. Am I still on a maintained status? I do not know what dates to be added on the 5710 form. Well, too much of confusion here. I'm not sure whether you applied for bridge open work permit or work permit extension letters. First of all, we need to understand that by law, postgraduate work permit cannot be extended. So, okay, so if you applied for a postgraduate work permit extension before the policy was announced, then by law, technically that work permit application is ineligible. And basically, while you were still able to enjoy, or rather I'm sure a lot of people have done it. We have been talking about it a lot. A lot of people were able to do it because it's like a loophole that was used in the law. And so yes, as long as you applied for another work permit while your existing work permit was valid, you were on implied status or on maintained status, and you can most definitely continue working. In your case, if you had a previous work permit, valid work permit, and you applied for another work permit, whatever that work permit was, then you are on an implied status. There is no problem with that. My spouse is on spouse open work permit. Can I add her with me on the spousal visa together? And what needs to be mentioned on her 5710 application? Well, good question. Again, IRCC has not clarified at this point of time whether spouses would be or rather are included, or what is the provision for that. But I have no doubt the spouses will be included, because I don't see any reason why spouses will not be included. Because if you as the primary applicant has a work permit, automatically by extension of that under C41, your spouse would also be eligible to have a work permit, provided you currently have a job, you are working under NOC 0A or B, and you have at least 3 to 4 pay stubs to substantiate that. I don't think at this point of time it will be a problem. However, more clarity will come from IRCC as we progress further along. Okay, postgraduate expired on 22nd of March, applied open work permit extension. I'm yet to receive a decision and have been working since. Do I apply for the new public policy or wait until my decision? Well, your previous decision, your previous work permit extension will definitely be refused, because to be very honest, there was no provision, there was nothing in the law that would allow that work permit extension to be approved. In your case, I would absolutely tell you to reapply for the new work permit under this new policy that has been announced. If I apply under the new policy, do I withdraw my initial application for extension? Well, if you withdraw your previous application for extension, that basically means you are now out of status. And then for that, you will also need to apply for restoration. In my opinion, everybody out there who has applied for a work permit extensions before, okay, you need to understand that that previous work permit extension application that you applied had no basis. Okay, there was nothing in the legality, there was nothing in the law that would allow for that application to be approved. I know there are very 1 or 2 isolated free cases where some work permits were approved, but there is no basis for those work permits to be approved. If that work permit is refused, or if that work permit is considered as ineligible and cancelled because it is ineligible, then you would be out of status. So my suggestion to you is, when you're applying for your new work permit application, simply state that you are out of status, apply for restoration as well, and then in your letter of explanation, mention that you did apply for the previous work permit extension for under whatever the policy was, or there was no policy at all, and that you are now applying for restoration as well, because you understand that the previous application will be refused and you will be out of status. So based on that, you are applying for restoration. Because under the last public policy as well, people who had done this, they've had to reapply with restoration intact. So, or rather with the restoration application as well. So my suggestion is that if you have applied for previous work permit extensions, then either you can wait for IRCs to give clarification on that. So it's your choice. You can wait, or you can simply proceed, pay a restoration fee, because it's always better to be on the on the right side of things. Especially in this case, applying for restoration would make sense, and it's $200 fee that you can add to your application. Check on the box where it says restoring my status. That is on the form IMM 5710. So check on the box saying you're also restoring your status in that application, and pay the $200 fee, and just save yourself a lot of hassle and a lot of stress. So yeah, I'm sure there are plenty of questions that are also asking me the same thing, that if you have a previous application of work permit extension, don't withdraw it. It doesn't make any sense, because if you withdraw it, you also lose your implied status. But in any case, you would be eligible to restore your status. So simply apply for restoration of application. Don't withdraw it. Let it continue. And at the same point of time, in your application, provide a letter of explanation and give them the explanation about your previous work permit explanation. If you wish, after you've applied for restoration of status, then by all means withdraw the previous one if you want to. If they haven't processed it, they might even refund your fee on that one, and you would be able to restore your status anyways. Okay. And once you get your work permit authorization, anyways, the interim authorization, you can continue working. And that is what IRCC has done to make everybody's life easy. Okay. If I apply under the new public policy, do I also need to restore? Well, if you need to restore, if you've been out of status, then obviously please restore your status. I'm just going through the questions which are only work permit related, especially postgraduate work permit extension related. Any of the questions we are going to skip. No result on previous fake extension. Well, I'm not sure what you mean by fake extensions. So yeah, if you're referring to, yeah, no, absolutely no clue what you're referring to in terms of fake extensions. My wife has applied yesterday for extension. We have together applied for permanent residency through express entry. Can my wife travel to India with this? Well, work permit is not a visa. So if your wife wants to return back to Canada, then she needs to have TRV or a temporary residence visa. And yes, by all means, you can travel in out of Canada. Applying for a work permit does not stop you from traveling. Okay, question not related. Please, we will be only taking questions which are postgraduate work permit extension related at this point of time. All right, eligible for postgraduate work permit extension, applied restoration as a worker, visitor record last month. Do I need to withdraw previous restoration application? When to withdraw? If yes, what should be my payment amount? What to add in proof of fee exemption? Well, no, you don't. If you've already applied for restoration and change of status, all you will need to do is you will need to provide all this information to IRCC when you're submitting your application. You may provide the same fee receipt that you've already paid for restoration earlier, but you will need to provide detailed explanation of this. You don't need to reapply for restoration at this point of time. Any thoughts on extending spouse open work permits for a postgraduate work permit holder who is eligible for extension under this program? I just spoke about this a little while ago. Okay, this is what they mean by fake extension. Applied for fake extension to buy time, still on implied status. Do I need to restore my status when I apply? In my opinion, yes, you should apply for restoration of status as well, because as you well know, if you applied for fake extension, then it will either be refused or it will be rejected as being ineligible. In both cases, you lose your status. Okay, just skimming through the questions. May I know your number, please? I need assistance. Well, we don't obviously answer calls to give you that kind of assistance, but you're most welcome to book an appointment. That is the link. You're most welcome to go onto that link and make an appointment for a one-on-one consultations, and we would be happy to, discuss with you what exactly is going on. I have applied for postgraduate work permit extensions, did not receive any refusal. Do I need to restore my status? In my opinion, I think you should apply for restoration of status. As I just said, whether you applied for fake extensions or extensions which you are not eligible for, then those applications will either be refused or rejected. So in both cases, you would be out of status, and therefore you may as well apply for restoration at this point of time as well. Okay, a lot of questions there. All right, here, my postgraduate work permit expired in 2020. I got it extended to public policy. Would I still be eligible for the new work permit extension policy? In my opinion, no, not at this point of time. However, we are still waiting for IRCC to come back with more clarity. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I finally got my PR thanks to you and Love from India. Well, congratulations. That's incredible news. This is absolutely good stuff. Wish you all the very best and hope that you and I will bump in sometime when you come to Canada. I've already applied for a postgraduate work permit under public policy. Oh, we just did this. Did we? I saw my case. Okay, yeah, we answered that question right up in the front. Okay. I already applied for extension of visitor record. Do I still need to apply to restore status when applying for postgraduate work permit extension? The application is asking me to restore status. Well, if you had applied for your visitor record And in that case, you should choose that you have valid status in Canada, because it gives you three options. It asks you for your status. Do you have valid status? You don't have valid status, so it asks you for your status. And if you have already applied for extension of visitor record before expiry, then in that case you already have valid status, and just say yes. A lot of questions being repeated, obviously. Yeah, same thing here, applying. Yeah, same question. We just answered that as well. In my opinion, it is not including those people who have already extended their permits, because they were issued as open work permits. They were not issued as postgraduate work permits. However, it is upon IRCC if they are going to make any changes to the public policy to include them or not. At this point of time, yeah, it's not available. I mean, that information is not clear. And at this point of time, it very specifically and categorically lists the people who would be eligible as postgraduate work permit holders. My postgraduate work permit was given to passport expiry and set to expire on November 2022. I have applied for postgraduate extension in May 2022. After renewing my passport, I have a planned travel to India in November. Well, if you have already applied for extension, well, then you can't do anything. You will have to wait for that extension to come through. Because yeah, if you wish to travel, you can travel. If you have a TRV, you will be able to return back to Canada. And if you don't have a TRV, then yeah, how will I be able to return to Canada if I don't have a TRV? Then you will have to apply for TRV. Once you have a new TRV, then you will be able to return back to Canada. People who left Canada in 2020 after postgraduate work permit expiry aren't included again. I think my postgraduate work permit expired in October 2020. Could I get a shot at this policy? No, you are not. You are not included in this policy. Unfortunately, it is very, very clear. And let me show this to you again. In order to apply for this particular, hold on. Yes, in order to apply, if you're outside Canada and if you wish to apply under this particular public policy, then the first one, it says to be eligible for this open work permit, you must meet the following requirements. Your postgraduate work permit expired or will expire between 20th of September to December 31st, 2022. That is the first and the foremost criteria. In your case, you would not be eligible under that criteria, and therefore you would not be able to apply for this particular policy. Same question. Do I need to restore my? Well, I know what everybody is thinking, that since you applied for your postgraduate work permit extensions, I know a lot of people have already asked me this, and again, reiterating the same thing. It was, or rather, that extension that you applied for was applied under basic no legal basis. There was absolutely nothing there in the law, in the immigration law, which allowed you to apply for this extension, yet you applied, right? So in most cases, what IRCC should be doing is that they should be rejecting this application. Now, there's a difference between rejecting and refusal. Rejecting is basically when the application is either incomplete or ineligible to start with. Therefore, the application is rejected. If it is refused, means the application has been assessed, and therefore IRCC finds some lapse in the application and therefore refusing it. If the application has been refused, then you basically still have a you are on implied status, and because you're on implied status, you have a valid status. And going by that, if you have a valid status and you apply for a new work permit based on what you are applying for now, you may have a chance there. However, the thing is that in order to apply for this new work permit, if you had your previous current work permit as valid, then you would not have to apply for restoration of status. But in my opinion, my advice at this point of time would be to not take a chance with this particular issue. Simply apply for restoration. That way, you don't have any headache as to what's going to happen with your application with IRCC. I do expect IRCC to provide more information. So if you prefer waiting for this point of time, you can wait. You can sort of give it some time and wait for some time if you wish to, because right now you still have valid status. That's a technicality of law that we need clarification from IRCC, because that hasn't been spelled out. I know thousands of people have applied for this fake extension, as some of you are referring to. You applied for these extensions basically to give yourself your work authorization, or getting yourself, or rather using this as a loophole of the law. But how IRCC is going to treat it in regards to whether you have to restore your status, you don't have to restore your status, that information has to come. We are waiting for that clarity. We have asked IRCC for it. So you can choose to wait. I mean, there is no rush. You would get your authorization to work anyways, even if you go out of status. So in both situations, you are not going to lose out on anything. My suggestion would be to simply just wait for a bit, and then once that clarity comes through, you would be able to apply. Okay, some super chats coming through. Maninder Singh, what should be the expiry date of current postgraduate work permit while filling the form 5710? Because I am on an implied status and don't have any expiry date. Well, that's the reason why I've just been saying that just wait to hear back from IRCC in terms of whether you can apply without restoration or not. In this case, if you're in a rush, don't be in a rush. That's what I've been trying to explain. Don't be in a rush. You have lots of time at hand. So you simply need to just have a bit of patience, because you will not lose out on anything anyways. You would get your work authorization by 8th of August, or maybe a day or two here and there. And once you have that, within that period of time, we obviously will have much more clarity as to what happens to people who have implied status, because IRCC's checklist, where they're giving you 3 options, doesn't really mention that. Once that information is available, you will then be able to have better clarity on how you should tackle these questions, and also whether you have to apply for restoration or not. My 1-year experience in Canada will complete on 18th of August. Should I submit the EE profile now, or should I wait until 18th of August? You can create your Express Entry profile now. That is not a problem. Okay. Nothing there. Sorry, no question there. Okay. When we get the email on 8th of August so that we can continue working, do we delete our existing application for postgraduate work permit extension that we know is going to be rejected? You cannot delete the application. What you can do is you can withdraw your application. Once you withdraw your application, please, you have to understand you would be out of status. And because you're out of status, you should then also be applying for restoration of status when you apply for your new work permit extension. Extension is applied as it takes time. I might get it in November or in November 2022. My TRV expires. I'm going to India in November. I don't have time to apply for TRV and extension. Can I re-enter? No, you cannot re-enter. If you do not have a TRV or valid TRV at the time you are returning back to Canada, then you will not be able to re-enter. You will need to wait till you get your TRV. Okay. All right, let's take this. Let's imagine visitor record might be refused with low funds. So is it safe to apply postgraduate work permit with restoration? Just in case they refuse visitor, I don't want to be out of status when to check my postgraduate work permit. No, you don't need to, because if you applied for a visitor record while your current status was valid, then in your case, you made a very fair application, okay, and you were an implied status. And implied status is a valid temporary residence status in Canada. It's acceptable status. So in my recommendation, again, one more time, if you are on an implied status in Canada, any implied status, whether it was the fake extension, whether it is a visitor record, whether you're waiting for your work permit, closed work permit extension, sorry, you had a work permit, postgraduate, you applied for a closed work permit, you're waiting for that, any kind of extension, any kind of maintained status, then my suggestion is please wait for some time till we get more clarity from IRCC as to the treatment of implied status in the applications, because that would then give all of us much more information as to what we will be, what you can do for your application. Right, so all similar questions coming up. Okay, this is another one. I've applied for restoration, but I didn't come yet. My 90 days are expiring on August 10th. Do I need to again restore this extension or pay my fee as a valid TRV? No, you don't need to pay the fee again. You already applied for restoration. In the checkbox, mention that you have already applied for restoration in your application. When you're submitting, just apply, just provide a letter of explanation. Mention your previous work permit, your previous restoration application details, and also, if possible, add the fee receipt again and let them know that you already applied for restoration and you will not need to apply for it again. Okay, all right, same questions. Let's see, this one's a bit different. I'm outside Canada, eligible for extensions. Can I enter Canada with my TRV and then apply for work permit extension? Should I enter on as visitor or a worker after the 8th? Well, if you enter Canada before the 8th and if you get a work permit, then you will be able to continue working, but you will have to follow the directions given. If you're outside Canada and you're eligible for extension, you don't have a TRV, then you can apply online. If you have TRV, you can come inside Canada. If you've come in Canada, well, you know what, just let's take a look at what it says here. Just hold on. This is what it is for your, to apply for people who are outside Canada, okay? And doesn't say anything which is different. Okay, I think it was here. It's not here. I no longer live in Canada. Yes. If you left Canada, you must email us the email address provided in the letter. If you don't, it may be considered misrepresentation. You may be found inadmissible. This could mean that you cannot return to Canada for 5 years. Now, if you left Canada, you must email us. So when you get the email address, when you send, I mean, not the email address, when you get the email from IRCC, you must let them know that you are outside Canada. And if you are outside Canada, then I don't think the work authorization, interim work authorization would apply to you. So my suggestion would be to apply for your work permit from outside Canada. And once you have that, received it, then you will be able to come to Canada and start working. Again, that is also a gray area question. We will need some more clarification from IRCC on that. That can people come to Canada in the meantime, wait here, and then work on that work authorization? Again, that is a good question. To be very honest, I don't have the answer to that with clarity. Needs a bit more digging into IRCC, and hopefully come back to this question on Saturday when we do a live stream. And by that time, hopefully, I will have the answer to this question. Right. Thank you so much for joining in, everybody. Wish you all the very best. Keep your eyes on the Express Entry draw. We are expecting a draw today, mind you. It's another exciting event waiting to happen for today. And once that happens, we will jump in and make another short, brief video giving you that information as well. But thank you for joining in. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, then please do. If you are not following us on Instagram, then please do. And I shall see you next time. Thank you.